For decades, Area 51 has been one of the most mysterious and controversial places in the world. Hidden in the Nevada desert, the base remained classified for years, with its existence officially acknowledged by the U.S. government only in July of 2003. Since then, countless theories have been woven around it. Secret experiments, alien encounters, advanced weapons testing, and horrific human trials. But among all these stories, one of the most disturbing tales ever told is what some call the Abigail Project. This account, allegedly revealed by a former janitor who once worked inside the base, is said to be the most extreme and inhumane experiment in history. He claimed he could no longer bear the weight of silence, even at the cost of his life. And before we open the doors to this dark tale, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because the mysteries hidden in the shadows are only just beginning. July 14. 2003 is the precise date on which the U.S. authorities formally published the existence of the mysterious Area 51 base. Since its revelation, lots and thousands of theories, conjectures, and hypotheses have been constructed around it. The extreme secrecy surrounding the base and the truth that its primary goal is undetermined have contributed to elevating them. Thus, there has been hypothesis about contacts with extraterrestrial beings, improvement of weapons of mass destruction, and horrible experiments with human beings. Area 51 is one of the subjects that encourage the most conspiracy theories around the world. Many would provide some things simply to be capable to get a little nearer and glimpse even a component of what it definitely hides. One of the many memories circulating about what occurs in internal Area 51 is what is viewed the most intense human scan in history, the Abigail Project. This story was once leaked via a former cleaner who worked at the website in question, who agreed to expose this story at the value of his personal lifestyles due to the fact he used to be unable to proceed carrying the heavy burden of maintaining this secret. It all began in 1945, after World War II had ended. At this time, Area 51 operated underneath the title Indian Springs Air Force Auxiliary Camp. According to our source, the base had been constructed for the improvement and secret safekeeping of superior weapons. The base endured this purpose until, in the midst of the Cold War and the consistent chance of battle with the Soviet Union, the authorities accepted the use of the base for organic experiments. The government viewed the improvement of organic weapons essential to preserve its world hegemony and palm superiority over different nations. This is how one of the most vital and fantastic reputed scientists of the place, Abigail Western, determined to begin a mission whose important goal used to be to create an extraordinary soldier. Dr. Western favored a type of Captain America, extraordinarily sturdy and robust, whose wounds healed rapidly and should face up to intense fatigue, harsh prerequisites, and very lengthy durations, barring consuming or drinking. Unfortunately, the processes to raise out such a loopy imaginative impression had been now not clear, so no one used to be inclined to provide themselves as a guinea pig for an assignment whose methodology was once now not described in a choir who is aware of how many sorts of elements and mutilations in order to make Western fulfill his dream. It was once nearly a suicide. In addition to this, the individual experimented on had to be anybody of entire confidence. That is, any person barring pals or household who have been capable to denounce the venture publicly and sue the base or the government of the United States. The first alternative was once vagrants or prisoners, but Western wanted an absolutely healthful individual with notable bodily and ethical condition. So after an awful lot thought, Western made a decision. The proper individual to obtain that test used to be his very own daughter, Abigail. Abigail Western was once a younger college pupil who studied to comply with in her father's footsteps, and possibly one day end up an Area 51 scientist like him. Western cherished his daughter, however he used to be a cussed man who tirelessly pursued his goals. No count the cost. If he had to problem his very own daughter to an unstable test whose success used to be unsure to shop America, then so be it. He managed to persuade Abigail to agree, and the Abigail Project began. The female underwent all sorts of surgical procedures and implants and substance tests. She was once mutilated, drugged, and uncovered to torture. Nobody noticed how all these humiliations have been going to enhance the supposed extremely good soldier that Western intended. However, the adjustments started out to be seen after a while. Abigail's look had modified drastically. Her bones had grown enormously. However, the pores and skin had stretched a lot too, so that it seemed wrinkled on her elongated limbs. Her tooth had been additionally developing considerable, and her conduct used to be turning into extra animalistic and much less rational. Several colleagues of the scientist advised him to cease the Abigail Project, that it used to be backyard the limits of all human and scientific action, that the assignment had been diverted, and now the injury used to be irrecoverable. But Western, in his arrogance, used to be inclined to take the scan to its final consequences. It used to be no longer that he hated his daughter. On the contrary, she was once the most valuable factor for him. However, he knew that if they ended the project, the younger girl would die immediately, due to the fact that her disfigured physique now depended on the technological know-how and stipulations that had been in the base to survive. Some personnel of Area 51, the cooks, published to the man who leaked this story that they had been ordered to put together massive plates of meals that they had to introduce via a slot into a room sealed with a metal door. They by no means knew for certain what used to be in the back of it, however that there have been many rumors about the form of monster that was once inside. They additionally stated that on quite a few activities, they managed to see Western standing in the front of the door, crying or speaking to this creature. Eventually, Abigail ended up dropping what was once left of her human rationing. She grew to become a beast. The Abigail Project had formally failed, and Dr. Western in the end realized what a mistake he had made. He had subjected his daughter to infinite illnesses, barring enough scientific standards, and for what? He had solely managed to flip his liked and stunning woman into a wild and deadly monster, which solely noticed him as subsistence. With nothing to proceed residing for, Albert Western dedicated suicide in 1947. However, now not earlier than strongly begging that his daughter no longer be murdered, that they strive to return her to regular or at least go away her alive. The authorities was not willing to proceed spending cash on that failed project. However, out of recognized Dr. Western's reputation, they fulfilled the phase of leaving her alive. They had been no longer going to kill her directly, however they would let starvation take away that monster. They stopped furnished any meals or clinical care for a terrible Abigail. As a result, on the first night time, many employees of the base pronounced listening to howls and loud scratches. At one point, the alarms went off, but when the head of the base went to check, to his surprise, the metal door used to be knocked down, and the monster used to be no longer there. A whilst later, the stays of 2 guards had been found. The creature had run away, hungry. And widespread search and seize operation was once right away carried out inside and round the base. Although a strive was once made to annihilate the creature, bullets and explosives did now not appear to critically harm it. So as soon as they managed to encompass it in an underground vicinity of the base, they determined to lure it there and seal the location below layers of metal and concrete. It's been extra than 70 years due to the fact, the Abigail Project, and there are nevertheless Area 51 personnel who declare that in the West Wing, at the back of the partitions, and especially beneath the floor, you can hear choked scratches and grunts from time to time. The query is, how has Abigail survived so lengthy except meals or water? Perhaps Western's assignment wasn't as an awful lot of a failure as he had thought. Maybe if he endured to check different subjects, he would ultimately have managed to create his dreamed invincible soldier. But the query we have to be asking is this: starvation, thirst, bullets, or explosives cannot kill her. What can? Today, Abigail is believed to be one of the motives why Area 51 is so sheltered. They do not recognize what it is, and they do not understand how to combat it. They concern that if some curious man or woman comes throughout it one day, or if the creature manages to escape, matters would most likely stop very badly for everyone. And now the question is yours. Could Abigail still be alive beneath the base, waiting in the dark? Or is this nothing more than a chilling legend? If you enjoyed uncovering this terrifying mystery, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because there are many more secrets, darker and stranger than this one, still waiting to be told.